Last Tuesday, at 4:23 a.m., I received an email. It made me sit up in bed. I stared at the screen for almost an hour. The European Space Agency has published high-resolution images of Mars. The images were taken by orbital spacecraft. They were taken during their approach to Mars on October 3rd. These are not artistic impressions or computer graphics. These are real photographs. Instruments less than 30 million kilometers away took them. The spacecraft flew through our solar system. The images challenge all our assumptions. They challenge our assumptions about what this object is. I have devoted 50 years to the study of physics. I have analyzed particle accelerator data. I have studied astronomical observations. I use the most powerful telescopes ever built. I have examined countless images of comets, asteroids, and planets. I know what natural objects look. I know this in high-resolution photographs. I tell you with all professional honesty this. What we see in the official images of Yaka does not resemble any natural phenomenon. I have never encountered it in my entire career. We are either observing exotic physics. These conditions have never been observed before. Or we need to reconsider what 3ATLS represents. Let me tell you exactly what these images show. The details are extremely important. The Mars Express Orbiter used its high-resolution stereo camera. It took images of 3I Atlas during a 12-hour observation on October 3rd. The distance was approximately 29.4 million kilometers. The camera's resolution allows us to distinguish objects up to 50 millimeters in size. This is on the surface of the object. It's seeing a football field. It is from a distance of hundreds of kilometers. The camera's resolution allows us to distinguish objects up to 50 millimeters in size. This is on the surface of the object. It's seeing a football field from a distance of hundreds of Earth diameters. The level of detail is simply incredible. The first thing that catches the eye is the shape. We used to call 3I Atlas a comet. Now that description seems completely inappropriate. The nucleus does not have the irregular shape. This shape is characteristic of cometary bodies. Instead, the overall structure appears surprisingly smooth. It has geometric regularity. The length of the main axis is approximately 4.7 kilometers. We would expect chaotic surface features. This is from an object formed by random gravitational attraction. But we see areas that look almost machined. 3 distinct regions are visible in the images. Each has its own mysteries. The front hemisphere is part 3I Atlas. It faces the direction of motion in space. It has a surface texture, unlike anything we have seen before. The surface shows patterns instead of impact craters. It doesn't have chaotic rocky terrain. It has repeating structures. They are arranged in a hexagonal grid. It covers about 40% of the visible hemisphere. Each hexagonal cell is about 200 millimeters across. The precision of these formations is disturbing. Dr. Petra Schmidt of the Max Planck Institute applied image recognition algorithms. She applied them to the images obtained. Her program is designed to identify artificial structures. It measures deviations from natural randomness. Natural geological processes create certain types of patterns. These patterns have characteristic irregularities. Tectonic activity creates cracks. The cracks follow stress distributions. Impact craters obey statistical distributions. This is based on the number of projectiles. Erosion creates features. The features depend on the material and the environment. The hexagonal structures on 3AC do not correspond. They do not correspond to any of these natural formation mechanisms. Statistical analysis suggests intentional organization. The probability of random natural formation is less than 1 in 10 million. Now I have to be extremely careful. I am a scientist. Scientists do not make extraordinary claims. They don't make them without extraordinary evidence. So let me be precise. Let me be precise in what I say and what I do not say. I am not claiming that these hexagonal patterns prove artificial origin. I am merely saying this. If these patterns were formed by natural processes, those processes operate differently. They operate differently than we think about planetary geology and physics. We need new explanations. These explanations must take into account the geometric precision. Natural processes rarely create it. The second area visible in the images covers the equatorial band. It encircles the middle of the object. This area looks even more mysterious. There are holes on the surface. They look too regular. They can't be mistaken for random voids. They can't be mistaken for collapsed lava tubes. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter also observed 3 ATS at that time. It took images showing at least 7 separate round holes. The holes are located along the equatorial region. Each has a diameter of 80 to 120 mm. The edges appear smooth and uniform. Here's what's really disturbing. Look at the shadows cast on these holes. Sunlight falls on the surface at an oblique angle. The calculation of the depth shows they are not shallow surface features. They go deep inside. They may connect to the hollow cavity. The cavity was discovered by micron radiography. Dr. James Chen of the California Institute of Technology specializes in the morphology of planetary surfaces. He has studied cave systems on Mars. He has analyzed lava tubes on the Moon. He has investigated sinkholes on asteroids. His assessment of the holes on 3I Atlas is unequivocal. They do not resemble natural formations. The circular shape is too precise. The distance between the holes corresponds to a pattern. It suggests intentional placement. It is not a random occurrence. The identical depth profiles in several holes indicate this. They were all formed as a result of the same process. It acted with remarkable consistency. Natural geological processes do not usually create such uniformity. This is in several objects separated by kilometers. The third area occupies the rear hemisphere of 3I Atlas. This is the area facing away from the Sun. This is when the object is moving through space. This area has perhaps the most anomalous feature of all. It is a formation that the research team calls a protrusion. It is a structure protruding approximately 300 meters from the main body. It is not a broken-off fragment. It is not a gas ejection creating a temporary jet. It is a solid, physical extension attached to the main core. Its shape is cylindrical. It is perfectly cylindrical. It is 110 meters in diameter and 300 meters long. It tapers to a rounded end. Think for a second about what that means. Natural astronomical bodies do not have cylindrical protrusions. Gravitational accretion creates uneven, bumpy shapes. Tidal forces and rotations create flattened spheroids. Even the most unusual asteroids we have observed have shapes. They have resulted from collisions, destruction, and gravitational changes. This has happened over billions of years. But cylinders are perfect cylinders protruding from the main body. Nature does not create such objects in space. Engineering creates structures designed for specific purposes. I shared these images with colleagues from different institutions. I did not explain what object they were studying. I wanted to get unbiased assessments. The assessments would be from experts in different fields. A civil engineer specializing in the aerospace industry looked at the cylindrical protrusion. He immediately asked if it was a fuel tank or a spacecraft engine module. A geologist who studies volcanic formations on Earth and Mars examined the equatorial holes. She stated outright that they did not resemble any natural cave or sinkhole. She was familiar with these. An architect works on large-scale infrastructure projects. He analyzed the hexagonal patterns on the surface. He noted that they resemble heat shield tiles or modular building panels. None of these experts knew they were looking at an interstellar visitor. They simply analyzed the images. They gave professional assessments. They based them on their experience. Each of them interpreted what they saw as artificial structures. They were not seen as natural geological features. This should make us think. But here's what becomes even more complicated and disturbing. The images also capture the Coma 3I atlas. It is a diffuse cloud of gas and dust. It surrounds the nucleus. The behavior of this coma contradicts what we observe in ordinary comets. In typical comets, the coma forms. Solar heat causes ice to sublimate. It creates gas that carries dust particles away from the surface. This gas emission occurs due to temperature gradients. It creates jets directed away from the sun. The dust and gas move along ballistic trajectories. They form a tail. It always points away from the sun. 3I Atlas behaves differently. The coma appears unusually symmetrical. It surrounds the nucleus almost uniformly in all directions. It is not rushing away from the sun as physics would require. Even stranger is this. Spectroscopic analysis shows the coma is 96% carbon dioxide. It has a small amount of carbon monoxide. It has virtually no water vapor. Every comet we have studied in our solar system contains water. Water is its main volatile. Water ice is what causes cometary activity. Finding a comet that consists almost entirely of carbon dioxide is this. It is finding a fish that breathes methane. It does not extract oxygen from water. It's possible from a chemical point of view. It is strange from an evolutionary one. Dr. Sarah Martinez of the Institute of Planetary Science conducted thermodynamic calculations. She tried to explain how an object could predominantly retain carbon dioxide. She also tried to explain it while losing almost all of its water during formation. The calculations do not add up. In any reasonable scenario of formation, in stellar nebulae or planetary systems, water, ice, and carbon dioxide ice are formed under the same conditions. They must exist in comparable proportions. This is in order to obtain an object consisting of 96% carbon dioxide. This requires either formation in an extremely unusual stellar environment. It is unlike anything in our solar system, or selective removal of water. This is through processes that conserve carbon dioxide. Neither of these explanations fits within theories of natural formation. And there is another disturbing observation. It was made based on these new images. The surface of 3I Atlas reflects light differently. It reflects differently than rocky or icy objects do. Spectroscopic analysis measures how different wavelengths of light interact with materials. Icy surfaces have characteristic absorption features. It depends on their molecular structure. The reflection spectrum of 3I Atlas shows anomalies. There are wavelength regions where the reflectivity is much higher. It is higher than that of any known natural material. It is as if parts of the surface are covered with something highly reflective. It does not correspond to the spectral characteristics of rocky ice or frozen gases. In some areas, the reflectivity in the visible range is almost 30%. For comparison, most asteroids reflect between 5 and 15%. Icy bodies can reflect between 20 and 25%, but 30% is almost polished metal or special coating materials. These are designed for specific optical properties. The reflectivity is uneven across the surface. The hexagonal patterns are slightly more reflective. The difference is small, only 3 to 4%. It is measurable and consistent at different viewing angles. I will share what has been bothering me. I looked through archive data. This was for all large comets humanity has photographed. Comet Tempel was one. It was one of the deep impact missions. Comet Churyumov-Gerasimenko was another. Comet Halley, Comet Wild 2, and others were also reviewed. These included comets Wild 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. I reviewed archival data on major comets. Humanity has photographed them up close. Comet Tempel was from Deep Impact. Comet Churyumov-Gerasimenko was from Rosetta. Comet Wild 2 was from Stardust. Each surface is covered with chaotic relief. There are impact craters and fields of boulders. Rocks and random changes exist in texture and albedo. This is natural disorder from billions of years of evolution. Harsh space conditions created this disorder. Now, look at 3I ATLS. It has smooth, geometric hexagonal patterns. There are round holes of the same size. Cylindrical protrusions have precise geometry. Surfaces show high reflectivity. This is inconsistent with natural minerals or ice. Unusual symmetry and gas coma chemical composition are present. It does not correspond to formation models. Each characteristic points to artificial origin. I keep asking myself a question. What natural process could create all these features? Could they form simultaneously in one object? I can't come up with a scenario. It would explain everything we observe. It would require physics or chemistry so exotic. It could be called magic. This leads me to a conclusion. I never seriously considered it as a physicist. Either 3I ATLS represents natural processes beyond our understanding. Every textbook would need revision. Or we are dealing with something not formed naturally. The timing of the image publication is also significant. NASA and the EC observed 3I Atlas. This was during its approach to Mars. Both agencies had ideally suited instruments. They could collect high-resolution data. Only the EC published its images. NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter was pointed at 3I ATS. This was on October 3rd. It has a powerful high-resolution camera. It can distinguish objects as small as 30 cm. Where are those images? Why did NASA publish only preliminary statements? The statement said the observation took place. I have worked with both agencies. I know the typical timeframes for data release. Normal observations are usually released in weeks. Unusual observations may be held back. This is for additional analysis before release. It has been 3 weeks since the October 3rd flyby. NASA has not published anything. The silence seems deliberate. When scientific data is hidden, it means one of two things. The data is of low quality. It requires careful processing before publication. Or, the data shows something unexpected. The agencies want consensus before releasing it. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter has reliable instruments. The first explanation seems unlikely. That leaves the second option. NASA saw something in its images. It requires careful consideration before publication. The European Space Agency's images show geometric patterns. There are round holes and cylindrical protrusions. These challenge our assumptions. NASA's higher resolution images are imagined. This is what causes sleeplessness. If 3ALAS is artificial, it is alien technology. Then, these images are humanity's first photos of extraterrestrial technology. These are not radio signals. Pulsars could be natural. These are not chemical traces. They could have biological or geological explanations. They are real physical structures, captured in detail. These are not radio signals. Pulsars could be natural. These are not chemical traces. They could have biological or geological explanations. They are real physical structures, captured in detail by spacecraft. Several spacecraft captured these structures independently. The structures show design principles. They show construction methods foreign to human engineering. They are recognizable as purposeful organization. They are not natural chaos. If this is true, assumptions about our place shatter. We are not alone. We are not the first. We are not the most advanced. A civilization exists or existed. It could build objects traversing interstellar space. It maintained structural integrity for millions of years. It performed impossible maneuvers. Our laws of physics define these maneuvers as impossible. They achieved this using unknown principles. Now their creation entered our solar system. It slowed down. It is watching us. We are trying to understand what we are seeing. Perhaps formation processes exist in interstellar space. We have never considered these processes. Perhaps objects float between stars. They float for hundreds of millions of years. They develop organizational structures. They use mechanisms that do not work near planetary systems. Extreme cold exists. It is close to absolute zero. Cosmic radiation and interstellar magnetic fields exist. They can create structures. These structures appear artificial. They arise naturally due to undiscovered physics. Perhaps the 3AS are teaching us. Nature is more inventive than we imagine. Earthly notions of natural and artificial shatter. This happens when studying objects with alien histories. These images force us to expand thinking. They require us to consider dismissed possibilities. They force us to be more humble. We should be humble about what we understand. We should be humble about what we assume. Our assumptions are based on limited local experience. 3ATS is unprecedented, whether natural or artificial. We have the privilege and responsibility. We are the generation encountering it. On October 29th, 3ATS will approach the Sun. Large space telescopes will collect data. They can be pointed in that direction. Ground-based observatories' images are limited. Atmospheric distortions and distance limit them. James Webb and Hubble will have a clear view. NASA may release images. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter may release images. This would be before the perihelion passage. We will have more details to analyze. What happens during the perihelion pass will tell us a lot. If 3ATS disintegrates, we are observing exotic chemistry. This happens with comets often. This could also be from an unusual formation history. If it survives, it retains geometric patterns. It retains regular structural features. Then, the probability of extraterrestrial origin increases. If it changes its trajectory, it uses the Sun's gravity. It alters its course more radically. We will know we are dealing with purposeful navigation. I will be watching these observations closely. Every physicist and astronomer will be watching. These few days could provide an answer. This is to the oldest question ever asked. The images suggest that the answer may be negative. If that is confirmed, everything will change. Our understanding of life will change. Our place in cosmic history will change. Our conception of intelligence will change. Our conception of technology will change. Our conception of what is possible in this universe will change. All of this will be re-evaluated. Look at these images yourself. ISA made them publicly available.